This is Rob Tubbett for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined here today by the Haymaker. We're here at the wonderful Park Plaza in Vauxhall. How you doing, David?
I'm very well. Sun's shining, everything's good.
Like a bit of vitamin D, don't you?
I love a bit of sun. I really do. It makes everything seem okay.
How's things? How are you getting on with poker?
Poker's good. Poker's fun. I'm winning. I've cashed in the World Series of Poker tournament there. I've cashed in the Philippines, the Asian Poker Tour, and I cashed at Grosvenor Casino, the Vic, down in Edgware Road. I came third a couple of nights ago, of like 70 players. So slowly but surely, it's coming together. It's coming together.
Heard you bumped into a shark at the table last night who knocked you out of the tournament. Is that right?
I did, yeah. We had somebody who wasn't really invited turned up and decided to take all my chips and give me an early exit to my own game. Mentioning no names.
She'll remain nameless. I'm sure people who know you will know who that was. So we're here today. Derek Chisora, official announcement against Joshua-Szpilka. Talk to me about the fight.
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight. You know, the fight got presented. Derek's a warrior. You know, he knows this guy is an awkward, tricky southpaw who's heavily avoided. Like Derek, you know, people don't really want to jump in the ring with him because he always brings the heat, brings war. But this guy is he's ranked, he's dangerous, and he's a southpaw. And Derek's going to need to be on his best form. You know how he turned up, how he fought against Gashi in his last fight isn't enough to beat this guy by any stretch. I think he knows that. And Gashi kind of turned southpaw in that fight, and Derek didn't really seem to have that many answers. So he's been working with Dave Caldwell for those answers, and he's been sparring. I think Camacho has been doing some sparring with him, and he's got a few other guys coming into town. And he's just getting accustomed to the southpaw style, and he's looking to doing some big things.
You mentioned the Gashi fight. I think it's fair to say that was not the best fight in the world for a variety of reasons. What kind of different proposition is Joshua-Szpilka compared to Senad Gashi, and why will Derek look better against him?
I think Derek's the type of guy who raises his game depending on his opponent. If he's fighting someone, if he's fighting a journeyman, he knows they're a journeyman. He'll train like he's fighting a journeyman. He's training like he's fighting Joshua-Szpilka. He's fighting like he's fighting someone who's coming to win, who's dangerous, who's a southpaw, who's awkward, who's going to be annoying for a large majority of the fight. But Derek's been, particularly with his strength and conditioning, I'm getting some of the numbers back from the sessions, and he's putting in the work. You know, he's got Ruben Tabarez, Pete Marcasiano. He's got all the guys at London Shoot Fighters really whipping him into shape. So come fight night, you know, I think he didn't look that impressive in his last fight against Gashi, and I think he read one or two of the reviews of his fight and wants to put the record straight. And this guy is very similar stature, similar style, but this guy comes to win. He's an ex-sort of football hooligan and a bit of a Polish hard man. So the guy's going to come to win. But I believe Derek Chisora grinds him down and stops him.
Now, I won't say the exact phrase that Derek used in the sit-down that we did just a few minutes ago with the rest of the print media, but he said, paraphrasing, that retirement's not for him. You know what he actually said, but we'll leave that there. He's not somebody he's had losses throughout his career and he's still been able to come back and get big fights, but coming off the back of that Gashi fight and going into the fight with Szpilka, who's kind of fringe world level, obviously boxed Deontay Wilder, if he doesn't come through this one at this stage of his career, how much is really left out there for Derek Chisora?
I know it depends how the fight goes. You know, it really depends on how his performance goes. For instance, he lost the fight against Dylan White. But after that, you know, no one could say your career's over. He was winning the fight on points. You know, he had a couple of points deducted and was still winning. You know, he just walked onto that one big shot, and that was the end of it. So depending on how the fight goes, sometimes you can win a fight and everyone goes, I think you should retire now. But it all depends. I'm not worrying. I'm not thinking and contemplating, you know, the ifs. I'm just concentrating on Derek putting on his best performance and making sure he's eating and sleeping the right things, making sure that, you know, sparring's sorted, making sure the training's going well, and we just take one fight at a time. You know, it's hard in the heavyweight division to map out which way you're going to go because so many things can change. You know, we could have been going down the AJ route. But that's changed all of a sudden. You know, you could have been you could be talking about fighting the winner of Wilder and Fury. That fight's not happening anytime soon. So just because you feel what things are going one way, they can change it anytime. Fighters get stripped of titles. You know, fighters get called in on last minute. You know, opponents get popped for PEDs. Things change on a daily basis in the heavyweight division. Mandatories all of a sudden get slipped in front of the real mandatories. So all Derek needs to do is focus on this one guy, focus on Szpilka, and put not only winning but put on a good performance. It's on a great card on July 20th. You know, I think the Rivas Dylan White fight is not getting the coverage it deserves. It's a genuine 50-50 fight. It's a very tough fight. Dylan has chosen one of the most dangerous heavyweights with the very little. I'd put Rivas in a very similar category as Andy Ruiz Jr. in terms of dangerousness. He's got a great punch output. He's a hard hitter. He's small, awkward to hit, clean. He's a problem, you know. And we saw what a problem Andy Ruiz caused Joshua the other night. So let's hope he doesn't call Dylan, because we don't need another British fighter sort of falling off his perch, you know. So I'm envisaging a very tough fight for Dylan, but a fight that, you know, he rises to the occasion in.
Now, I caught up with you in Las Vegas and we spoke a little bit about Joshua-Ruiz. One thing that I didn't get to ask you at the time is, when you had your first loss to Carl Thompson, how did that affect you? How did that affect you both mentally and physically? What did it change about your preparations after suffering your first loss? It
gave me a real big kick up the arse to redirect my boxing energy in a very different way. You know, I had a training camp in Bournemouth. You know, it was going to strip clubs before the fight. I just wasn't in it. I was in it, but I wasn't. I was in training camp. I was doing the sessions. Well, sparring was okay, but it wasn't. I was training, but I wasn't really training. And maybe that was the case with AJ. Maybe he was training, but he was training in Miami. You know, everyone was kind of in Miami having kind of a half training camp, half holiday vacation sort of thing. And not everybody. Okay, put it this way: if AJ's life was on the line, if the winner of the Andy Ruiz fight died at the end of it, if the winner survives and the loser gets executed, how would he have trained for that fight? Would he have gone to Miami to train? I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe he would. I don't know. We don't know. Only he knows. And I don't think there was the desperation to make sure he's at his very, very, very best. Otherwise, he's going to lose. Now he knows that. I'm sure he'll make the adjustments. He's a smart guy. He's got an amazing team around him who understand the game, and they know they've been there before. So I think some fighters just need to kick up the arse from time to time. I did throughout my career. Every so often, if I didn't get a kick up the arse in the ring, I got it in sparring. And sometimes you need someone to keep you honest. You know, AJ's probably able to beat 95% of the heavyweights just on his physicality alone, just on his size and strength and power and speed. That's enough to beat 95. But there are 5% of fighters who don't have that speed and power and size, but they have superior skills, boxing skills. They have thousands of additional hard rounds of sparring on their side in their armoury, and sometimes you can't make up for that with deadlifts or fucking shot put or whatever else you do in training.
You didn't get a rematch with Carl Thompson. I understand it's completely different situations and scenarios, but it looks as though Joshua's going to rematch Ruiz. Do you think that's a good move for him?
I tell you, after the fight, it depends. It depends if AJ does what is required, if he pays the price, then yeah, he should have a rematch. If he's not willing to change his outlook, if he's not willing to change the way he's training, the way he's sparring, I think sparring is the key. Yeah, I think it's really, really important for a fighter, particularly a fighter fighting someone who's fighting someone. For instance, when I fought Jean-Marc Mormet, I hated this style. It's horrible. I hate short fighters. I hate short fighters who get into my range and force me to fight. I like someone standing out of range, big, tall guys where I can have a breather, jab and feint. And when someone just comes in, you're forced to fight at a pace you don't want to fight at. And it drains your energy, especially when it's hitting you to the body and you're slowing down. It's horrible. So you've got to kind of put yourself in that environment. I brought in Carlos Takam when I fought Derek, for instance. It's horrible. I hate sparring with him. It's really, really hard. But I had to do it. It's horrible. I remember thinking, oh, God, I've got sparring again. This guy, and I do 2 rounds with him, 2 rounds with someone else, and he's getting fresh while I'm getting tired. Then he'd come back in the ring, and I'm knackered, and he's still fresh again. And it was just hard, and it was horrible. But after 6 weeks of that, I became kind of numb to it. I became conditioned to that pressure. Then the pressure didn't feel like it was pressure anymore. It just felt like that was boxing. That's how it is. But you got to go through this 3 or 4 weeks of horrid headaches and shoulder aching and your back's hurting and you've got black eyes and your nose and your freaking teeth are wobbly and you'll go through that and it's horrible. But if you want to become comfortable, for instance, when I fought Derek, I was comfortable with pressure. It didn't bother me at all. But if I'd have fought Derek without that type of preparation, it would have been a problem for me, a real, real big problem. And I'm assuming that's a similar sort of situation with Anthony Joshua.
It's actually quite ironic. I watched your fight with Derek a couple of days ago and then got a message about this, which was very, very random. Moving on, final question. I know you're very busy. Another cruiserweight moving up into heavyweight, Alexander Usyk. Kind of alluded to it in the round table about his situation with the WBO. But firstly, you successfully transitioned from a cruiserweight to a heavyweight. How do you see Alexander Usyk getting on in the heavyweight division?
Depends how his arm is. I heard sort of conflicting reports. Some people said he's tore his bicep. Some people say he ruptured it fully. There's a big difference. If he's ruptured his bicep and need an operation to reattach it, whatever his chances were, you can take 35% off of whatever those chances were. Even if his arm was 100% perfect, it would be a tough ask to beat world heavyweight like a Chisora or a Takam, so a real heavyweight who comes forward and puts you under pressure. You need punching power to keep the big men honest. He's not a big puncher. He's not a one punch. He can knock you out for sure, but he's not known for that. He's known for his skills, his head movement, his angles. But sometimes you need to really keep a heavyweight at arm's length to have a breather because you're the small guy. And you need that one-punch concussiveness to really steady a man up. Like the way Evander Holyfield went up to heavyweight and knocked out Buster Douglas. If he wasn't a big puncher, he couldn't have done that. Knocked out, was able to hang in there with Lennox Lewis. Beat George Foreman. He had the punch power to hang with the heavyweights because he was a heavyweight puncher. So
what's up?
Okay.
And I think he's got the skill set to do it. Whether he's got the punch power to do it, I don't know.
David,
yeah.
You have a sip of water. Let me take over, please.
Okay, David Haye, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing.
Pleasure.